Many of you may be too young to remember, or maybe not even born yet, but on January 28, 1986, the United States suffered a great loss with the explosion of the Space Shuttle Challenger and the loss of 7 brave astronauts, including a 37-year-old teacher named Miss Krista McCullough. All of America was watching that day with hope and anticipation with the launch of the Space Shuttle Challenger. Not only was all of America watching, but all of America's school children were glued to the television sets in their classroom, for they had one of their own going up into space. During national times of crisis, it is the President of the United States' job to console the nation, to pick up their spirits and let them know that everything is going to be okay. Many of you can remember the great tragedy of 9/11 when President Bush, with his press conference after the tragedy, was fighting back his tears over the lost souls of the 3,000 that perished. Reagan was normally known for his quick-witted and catty speeches. However, on this day, a somber soul prayed with the nation. Ronald Reagan was born in 1911 in Topeka, Illinois. It was here where he attended a nearby high school in Dixon, Illinois. He enjoyed playing football, and this would also be the place where we'd start recognizing how to engage in public speaking. In his sophomore year of high school, Ronald Reagan had a challenging teacher who urged his students to be creative and original when writing their essays. The teacher noticed Reagan's talents and would soon have Reagan reading his essays to the class. The reaction of his classmates as Ronald Reagan read to his students was music to his ears, Ronald Reagan would describe it. When Reagan arrived at Eureka College, he would continue his love of football. It was also at Eureka College that Reagan would recognize his speech skills. The Great Depression was causing the college to cut staff and faculty. Ronald Reagan was selected by his peers in his freshman class to lead a committee that would back the faculty and staff. His audience listened attentively. Reagan says, "For the first time in my life, I felt my words reach out and grab an audience." After Reagan finished his college years, he went on to become a successful actor, appearing in over 50 films. After acting, he turned to politics. In 1966, he was elected governor of California. In 1980, he won the Republican presidential nomination, and on January 20th, 1981, Ronald Reagan was sworn in as the 40th President of the United States. January 28, 1986 was supposed to be a promising day for our nation. The Space Shuttle Challenger was televised nationally, and because of the high-profile grade school teacher who would be the first ordinary citizen to take flight into space, every classroom had the television set to the local broadcast. Ronald Reagan shared his grief with the nation. He also comforted the children by letting them know that everything was going to be okay. This speech was also to remind the American people of the perseverance and the strive that we all desire. Just like the great pioneers before us, who suffered great losses and obstacles, they always picked up and moved forward. Never give up. Ronald Reagan said, "Our hopes and our journeys continue." Confidence within the NASA crew was devastated. Reagan's speech would help repair the low morale that was going on through the whole NASA department. Ronald Reagan is giving a speech on a particular event, the Challenger explosion. Although he probably did not have much time to practice or gather information on the matter at hand, his speech was delivered in an extemporaneous style. The delivery was sincere and natural. Reagan rarely looks away from the camera or his audience. His poised eye contact draws the viewers in. Reagan is a master of commanding his language and appropriate words to effectively receive the audience's attention. For example, the use of the word tragedy is properly conveyed to a grieving nation. This was a great loss. He also connects with the audience by stating, "Nancy and I are pained to the core." That sentence alone is very striking. Everyone was pained to the core, and Ronald Reagan connected with his audience by letting them know how he was grieving as well. He goes on to say, "We share this pain with all the people of our country." He addresses the mourning people. He also goes on to directly address the families of the astronauts, the NASA crew, and like a grieving father, he consoles the children who are watching. Reagan is appealing to the nation's emotions. The layout of the speech is well organized. As noted earlier, Reagan does not leave out anyone with whom he grieves with. He also uses analogies of past astronauts and the early pioneers. This imagery creates a sense of bold braveness and pride in spite of the tragedy of the Challenger explosion. History claims Ronald Reagan as one of the nation's greatest leaders. If there is ever a top 10 list of speech performers, Ronald Reagan will definitely be in this elite group. Public speaking played a vital role in Ronald Reagan's life, not only in his early adulthood, but also in the latter professional and political career of Ronald Reagan. His speeches would ignite an audience. Public speaking for Ronald Reagan was an art form in which he was a master. His speeches would cross over the various spectra of people and earn him the name as the Great Uniter.